Just like Hamas, just like Palestinians, so do their supporters. They cannot stand seeing Jewish people or seeing anybody connected with Judaism, connected with Israel, enjoying themselves, specifically when it comes to music. On October 7, 2023, Hamas and Palestinian civilians invaded Nova Music Festival, among other people's homes, murdered, slaughtered, raped them. Now in Paris, thankfully it's not to that extent, but now in Paris, Israeli Philharmonica was doing a concert, and a bunch of them, a bunch of the pro-Hamas protesters, as people like to call them, but they are truly just thugs. They're truly, barbarians. I mean, if you see, uh, you know, burning books is one of the highest like barbaric acts that people can acknowledge. Why? Because we understand that even though it is sort of like just a physical object, burning like a word, which is the conceptual, that is what makes us human. To be able to put thoughts on paper, to be able to really think, that is something uniquely human. And art as well is something that is uniquely human. Somebody going and trying to destroy that is the deepest kind of evil you can even find. And uh, yeah, and this is happening. So I do want to watch the video of it just a little bit. But James, do you have any opening thoughts for this?
Yeah, it is. Well, there's a combination of things I think involved here. Of course, anything involving Israel, there are going to be people who are going to go out and protest. You notice they don't protest the People's Republic of China in similar fashion. They don't object to the Islamic Republic of Iran in similar fashion, although Iran does not mount symphony orchestras, to my knowledge. In fact, to many Muslims, it is not halal, Western music. It is, but of course, there's a
Or
division.
music at all? No?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It distracts from prayer, and it's Western. But I think Oman has a symphony orchestra. So I think some Muslim countries, there's a division as to whether or not it's halal or not among Muslims. But there's a deeper point here on the American left and the Western left and the European left that is nihilistic. When you see environmentalists going after art at the Louvre, that's nihilistic. What do Da Vinci or Van Gogh have to do with your environmentalist position, and why take it out on civilization as such? So there's an anti-civilization, anti-reason, and just total nihilistic motive that encompasses the Western left, that comes along with this Western music. But you'll notice that it doesn't matter what Israel does. It could be a sports team. It could be a Eurovision music contest. It could be whatever else Israel's involved in. So there's a deep strand of anti-Semitic, because let's face it, when you're protesting a sports team or the Israel Symphony Orchestra, then what you're doing is you're saying Israel doesn't have a right to exist. They don't have a right to just be civilized and cooperate with other nations on any grounds, whatever. So there's a deep anti-Semitic strain, obviously, here. There's a Muslim strain here. But even underlying all of it is, unfortunately, the philosophical bankruptcy in the West, which has created an extremely nihilistic left that'll take out on civilization itself any cause that they think is worth taking the cause out on, because civilization really is their enemy. Reason really is their enemy. And you see that nakedly. So I think there's strands of different kinds of motivation going into this, but it is pure nihilism. I mean, why take it out on Tchaikovsky? Here's the Israeli, which is one of the finest symphony orchestras in the world, by the way. I'm a little biased having grown up in LA. I grew up with Zubin Mehta. So one of the finest symphony orchestras in the world. They're playing Tchaikovsky at one of the most prestigious music venues in the world in Paris. One of the most prestigious music venues in the world in Paris, and they're playing Tchaikovsky. And so take it out on the symphony orchestra. You don't even know what the political opinions of the orchestra or the people in the audience are. It's just Israeli. So take it out on the Israeli Symphony Orchestra. It is pure anti-Semitism, pure nihilism, pure conformity to the demands of Islam. And since all those things dovetail, in this case, why not just be as nihilist, destroy a value, destroy, as you point out, something uniquely human, art. It is only because we're conceptual beings that humans respond to art, create art as we do. It is a unique thing to being human. They are attacking humanity. They're attacking life. They're attacking reason. They're attacking civilization. They're attacking art and beauty as such, if necessary, in their tribalist hatred of Israel. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the actual interruption. We'll play a little bit from it. So this goes for a bit longer, and there were multiple interruptions with the flares. Apparently, there might have been no security, like actual security, at the what you call it, at this concert. That's the word I was looking for. At this concert, so you saw like people had to like go in and kick them out. And well, first we have a super chat from Bonnie and Jonathan. Thank you so much. And just think about this, as James, as you said, this, they have no idea when it comes to Israelis. Not even all Israelis are Zionists. Most of Israelis are not even fan of Netanyahu. Most Israel, or a lot of Jewish people, I should say, maybe don't even support the current war in Gaza. Yet they are all collectively punished because they have association with the state of Israel. So again, let's look at this. What is this? Is not anti-Zionist. This is not like targeting specifically the current Jewish state or anyway. And I mean sort of like going into the fundamental, right? It's not even really anti-Israel, right? Because it's just Jewish people. You want to target Jewish people. But even to some extent, it's not even that and like specifically like anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish, because you don't even know if like this is just an Israeli Philharmonica. It's just people from Israel that came into play. People who are listening to it that might not be Israeli, might not be Jewish. I mean, in the video itself, you hear somebody speaking French. These are just people who came to enjoy nice music, came to enjoy one of the, somebody like Tchaikovsky, one of the greatest or many great composers, and that is what is being attacked. This is pure nihilism. This is and I'm sure every human has experienced this because of the way the bad culture is, but I'm sure if you have like a really good sense of life, maybe you haven't ever felt this, but maybe you felt somebody, when somebody is looking like nice, when somebody is looking powerful, you kind of have this inkling of you want to kick it down. And thankfully, if you have a proper psychology, if you encounter why that is happening and you fight it, you are able to overcome this. But many people take that feeling, take that feeling. I'm seeing people enjoying themselves. I'm seeing people living. I'm seeing people like trying to achieve greatness. And I want to cut it down. I want to shut it down. And this is the exact thing these people are doing. And they are pro-Hamas protesters, right? Because what kind of life, a sense of life do you have to be even call yourself pro-Palestinian protester? Because again, what do Palestinians stand for but not violence, destruction of the Israeli state, Islam, like militant Islam, wanting to destroy Western civilization? That is what you're fighting for when you go to Palestinian protests. That is what you're being in support of. And this is the exact outcome of it, right? They just want to bring down Western civilization and everything it goes with it, like art. I looked it up. Yeah, music, singing, musical instruments are haram in Islam, are forbidden, are not in accordance to the to Quran. So this is the kind of philosophy you support, completely anti-human.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as you point out, there is a strain of Islamic thought that says that it is forbidden, that you Western arpeggios and chords are somehow offense to the religion of Islam. Now, the Islamic world dominated by ideas like that, even though Oman may have a symphony orchestra, it is a common view in the Islamic world. The Islamic world is savage. It cannot embrace the achievements of other cultures. It is narrow, sectarian, bigoted, collectivist, based on their mysticism. They are living in the dark ages still. And so if you're going to protest something, how about you protest the culture, a whole culture that would be blind itself to human achievement, that would blind itself to beauty, that has no interest in this whatever. So there, as I say, there's this Islamic strain that runs through it. And if anything is worthy of protesting, it's the cultural strain in Islam that hates human achievement, hates civilization, hates reason, and that for them, a Western chord or arpeggio is the very symbol. Now think about that, the very symbol of all that they're fighting. There's a deeper strain, though, too. I don't know if this guy was himself a Muslim. Do we have any evidence on that?
I don't think we have anything yet.
Okay, it wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't Muslim at all. As I say, there's a strain in the West that is philosophical, cultural strain of nihilism, like these environmentalists, you know, throwing whatever junk they're trying to throw on great works of art at great art museums. I mean, we've seen that repeatedly. So there's this nihilistic hatred of civilization in the West. Now, the combination of those two things are precisely the military problem that Israel faces. Now, get that. This combination of cultural forces precisely reflects the situation that Israel is facing. There is a Western civilization. There's a civilization that is not confident in itself, that is actually engaged in suicidal self-destruction through subjectivism and nihilism. For philosophical reasons, the West is questioning the value of its own values. And in conjunction with the Islamic purity about their hatred of civilization, this comes to an unfortunate combination. Not only here, whether it's like I say, Eurovision, or whether it's an Israeli football team, or whether it's the Israeli symphony orchestra, the very same moral clash is precisely echoed in the diplomatic military clash. The Western altruism and Western insecurity about its own values in the face of Islamic certainty about its savage values. And that's the moral evaluation we have to make here, ladies and gentlemen. The cause here comes down to civilization. You know, our friend Jonathan wrote a wonderful Substack article on this. This is cultural heroism that we're seeing, right? And, you know, in the reaction to it, especially, the orchestra kept on playing. The orchestra then spontaneously picked up on, culturally Jewish music. That is heroism right there, to respond right then and there. I hope we have a link to that in the comments or something. But in any case, this combination is not simply an accidental one. It is not. The poor Israel is having to face a hostile Western civilization in some ways, that hates itself in some ways, but is at the very least utterly disarmed when it comes to these really purist, savage, consistent savagery on the other side. Nothing could more eloquently embody the fact that the cause of Israel is the cause of civilization.
So you mentioned something I wanted to be a slight surprise, but yeah, when it continued, so I'll play it and then I'll explain what it is. I'll only play like 5 to 10 seconds because it is music. I hope we won't get shut down. So let's hold our fingers, but I think it's really nice to left out. So this is how the Philharmonica ended. This was towards the end. Never mind, I got the wrong video. So
no copyright problem there.
Yeah, no
Unless applause is copyright.
So I'll have to quickly go get that. So I'll read the super chat from Bulmus. Thank you so much. This happened twice when I had the wrong video. It's starting to become annoying. Thank you, Bulmus. And he sent it on my email. He said, there is a saying in Israel that not every Muslim is a terrorist, but every terrorist is a Muslim. Unfortunately, this seems to no longer be the case. I mean, when it comes to the West, yeah, it seems to be that I'm not sure if you're like a big fan of the Oxford Union debates, but they just did one with the and somebody can remind me. This like Muslim influencer. I can't remember his name. And the streamer Destiny. The question was like Islam versus atheism, and the person on the Muslim side, he was saying that there are no Muslim countries, that the Muslim countries do not follow Islam, and then in some ways Western countries are more Islamic than the Muslim countries right now. So yeah, I mean, James, any thoughts on this? And I'm gonna look up the video real quick.
Well, no, it is. It is civilization and reason versus mysticism and savagery. And you know, what the guy's comment reminds me of people who are saying we've never really had socialism. No, no, on all of the experiments around the world over the last 150 years, there's never been an example of actual socialism. Well, there's never really been an example of Islam. No, we have examples. And if you go back 1,000 years, frankly, you have better examples of Muslim culture. But Islam today, in recent centuries, it has gone down a path of medieval savagery, anti-reason mysticism, total tribal collectivism. And as I say, in contrast, what you have in the West are doctrines like relativism, cultural relativism. You can't say one culture is superior to another. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can. I can say that the culture that created Tchaikovsky is superior to cultures that never came close to producing a Tchaikovsky. I can say that our modern civilization that put men on the moon is superior to a culture that couldn't even imagine a quarter of the technology that might accomplish that. So no, I can and I will evaluate ideologies like religions. I will morally evaluate cultures. See, Western academia is totally disarmed. They can't criticize the Aztec practice of human sacrifice. If you can't criticize, so then whatever savagery that Islam does, I mean, we've seen this again and again and again. For example, gays for Palestine. The minute a gay person would actually go there, they'd be thrown off a roof or hung on a chain for just being gay. You don't see gay bars in Tehran or Riyadh. The fact is that if you want a civilized world, you have to have value judgments, and your values have to be objective. If Western civilization is not objectively superior to the dominant culture in the Islamic world today, then you're completely at a loss. Then you obviously have no moral way to argue against women being beaten in the streets because they're not wearing the hijab properly, or disappearing and dying in Iranian prisons because they're not wearing the head. They're showing a little hair through through the headdress. That is exactly what you're doing. Because look, if you abandon reason, you can't abandon your nature as a human being, having values. So it's a question of where your values come from. Are they going to come from this purely emotionalist, collectivist sort of mysticism that comes from the Islamic world? Because it's going to have to be some variant of that once you reject reason. You're still going to need to pursue values. You're still a valuer. As a biological human, you're still a valuer. So where do your values come from? And so there's there's a choice, and that choice is itself not an optional one. Are your values based on reality and reason? Are they oriented towards human life on Earth or not? And if you reject reason, if you reject civilization in the consistent way that they are, even if you adopt a stance of moral neutrality, like cultural relativism, which is based on moral relativism, then what you're doing is you're saying there's really no difference between a mass murderer and someone who's playing a Tchaikovsky symphony. Objectively, that's what you're saying. You're saying, listen to what it really means to be a relativist or a subjectivist. Say, well, that's just your preference over. Yeah, I have a preference not to have my homosexual friends thrown off roofs. I have a preference not to allow women to dress as they want to dress. I have a preference, a strong preference for Tchaikovsky over atonal music. Okay. And I can justify those preferences in reason. Now, I'm not saying you have to like the same exact music that I do, but the point is, if you can't see the difference between the culture, say, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, and a culture in Israel that would produce a symphony orchestra capable of playing Tchaikovsky at one of the most prestigious venues in the music venues in the world, then I'm afraid you've lost all mooring in reality. You've certainly detached yourself from reason, and you've become an enemy of civilization. Those highfalutin PhDs talking relativism and subjectivism are enemies of everything you value. Bear that concretize what it really means to be a relativist or a subjectivist. They're taking their iron boot and they're smashing everything of value or beauty. They're taking every advance in medicine, every technological advance the West has made, every cultural advance that the West has made. Yeah, take Brahms and Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff and just put your iron boot and smash on the face of such beauty. Smash it on the face of such achievement. Centuries of human development that it would take to reach such a pinnacle of civilization is to create a Tchaikovsky piece of music with the sophisticated melodies and harmonies that it creates. But what you're after is just beauty, sheer beauty. You're attacking beauty. You're attacking life on Earth. You're smashing values as such. And what, in the name of, these Western academics, they don't mostly buy into Islam. They don't believe there's 72 virgins waiting for them. They are pure in their hatred of life on Earth. That's the only way I have of putting it.
Yeah, and as a response to that, I have the video already. So let's actually listen to, again, this was towards the end of the concert. Okay, again, just wanted to play a little. Hopefully we don't get shut down. But you've heard this was Hatikva, if I pronounce it correctly, the national anthem of Israel. This wasn't planned to be played there. It was a response, I think, to the thugs that came in. And of course, the crowd also responded. So I guess to some extent, there were Jewish and Israeli people that recognized the sound of it. And again, this is a great response. The piece itself is actually based on a poem that talks about the Jewish people and the return to the land of Israel to make a free nation, which I think is a perfect response to.
Yeah. No, this non-Israeli, this non-Jewish person, me, if I were in the audience, I would be on my feet applauding, my hands red when they did that. That is the correct response. What you do is if you're gonna force the issue like that, then you're gonna force me to hold up an Israeli flag, maybe as I'm doing it. Okay, I didn't go there to make a statement about Israel, but if you turn this cultural event into a statement about Israel, oh yeah, I'm going to turn it into a pro-Israel event. What it was a pro-culture, civilization, pro-Tchaikovsky event, and celebrating the fine work of these expert virtuoso musicians. And so the fact that Israel can field these civilized artists, these expert musicians, something that most Islamic countries just simply don't have the cultural, bones to put up, then yeah, I'm going to say Israeli culture is superior to the cultures around them. And I will repeat that. I will put it in italics if you want. I will super emphasize that if you'd like. Israel is an island. If nothing could make it more visible, right? Make it more concrete and obvious. Israel is an island of civilization. An island of civilization in dark age, surrounded by dark age savagery. People who could not field a symphony orchestra with virtuoso violinists, okay? Versus a culture that does, a culture that participates in civilization, the creating of values, the creating of beauty. Look, what could make it more obvious? But I want every listener out there who might not be familiar with the works of Ayn Rand to realize that she nailed it. when she was criticizing philosophical subjectivism and its derived evils, such as cultural relativism. Cultural relativism is hatred for life on earth, hatred for beauty, hatred for achievement, hatred for reason, hatred for freedom. That is what they really hate, because you don't go around doing nihilistic things like this unless your real enemy is, yeah, civilization, philharmonic orchestras. That can be swept aside in the cause of what? Barbaric savages who want to kill, 8 million Jews in the area? No, no. It could not be better concretized. Their hatred of life on earth could not be better concretized than the way they behave here. And so, yeah, I get to my feet when the Israeli national anthem is played. I'll hold up an Israeli flag if I had the presence of mind to bring one with me at that point, even though all I came to do was to enjoy one of the world's fine symphony orchestras playing Tchaikovsky in Paris. Good Lord.
Yeah, and something to also remember is, this truly was a right response. I'm not sure if you've seen an episode I did. I think it was with Marco and Richard about being proud and standing up for the right thing. This is something that Israel and the leadership, Netanyahu, haven't been doing. They have been apologizing for their actions in Gaza. They have been apologetic for, again, their existence. There was, when it comes to the things that went wrong in Gaza, they are minuscule towards the criticism that Israel is getting. And again, whatever criticism of Israel people have is not the right criticism. It is not, they do not care about Israel not doing something properly or not going away. They want Israel gone. And the only response, you cannot then go and say, okay, yeah, we understand that we did these things wrong. No, you cannot accept that, because their criticism is not of that. They criticize your existence. And if you then try to justify it by apologizing, you will not do so. You need to stand on your 2 feet, head high, and say, no, I'm proud of being, in this case, Israeli. I'm proud of my life, and I will defend my life, whatever it takes. This is a stance Israel should have taken, not even on October 7th, long before. And we always see artists actually carrying the biggest amount of the moral standing to actually support it. And I'm glad we have seen it in this instance.
But scientists and business leaders, and Israel actually has a biotech industry. Israel can field a symphony orchestra to play at one of the most prestigious music venues in the world. Israel is respects individual rights and has free speech, unlike Saudi Arabia or Iran or even Turkey. Okay, so yeah, Israel should say, we're better, we're superior, we're the island of civilization here, and that's why they're attacking us. And we should be very, very clear and unapologetic. And it is intimately connected with the apologies that Israel is constantly issuing and the crap coming out of my country, America, which, when it's allegedly defending Israel, no, they should have the moral clarity to say that Israel is a bastion of civilization. That's why it's critical. This is the vanguard in the battle for civilization, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we mean. That is what we mean. It's intimately connected. You don't apologize for going into Gaza and defending civilization against savages who would rape and mutilate people on October 7th. You don't. I mean, how could if you were a fiction writer and you were trying to create a vivid symbolism, vivid allegory for your point about civilization versus savagery, you couldn't beat, if you were to tell this story in a novel of what's been going on over the last few years, they'd say, oh no, look, it's too heavy-handed. It's obviously you're heavy-handed in your political propaganda. No, not at all. That is literally the stakes we're talking about here. Civilization, life versus death, the destruction of human values, the destruction of human achievement, the attack on beauty and the attack on beauty itself in the form of Tchaikovsky. Yeah, that is what we're talking about here. Worshippers of death who've put it so clearly when it comes to, their political cause against Israel. We're willing to die. We will absolutely. You guys love life. That's your weakness. They have named it. politically that put their finger right on it. And so when you see expressions like this, it's almost inevitable. That is the visualized concretization of all their life hatred that you can imagine. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. And it may sound sometimes when we're talking about the issue, when we frame it in philosophical and large historical terms, we go, well, it's just hyperbole. You guys are going way over the top. No, we're not. Not one micron over the top. These are death worshippers. This is a death cult. This whole culture is a death cult. And Israel, it stands for life, civilization, beauty, human achievement, happiness on earth. And that's what really gets under the skin of your hardcore jihadist.
Yeah, and I would just wrap this up by saying that Israel should look at the criticism, or what is the real core of it, or what are people actually criticizing. They would criticize Israel no matter how little deaths there were, no matter how little response there was, because the problem isn't that the response is too harsh or something. No, it's the fact that Israel exists, and you cannot compromise on that issue, or you cannot do something that would make them believe, or that make people around the world would say, okay, no, we are now on the side of Israel. The only way you get the current culture on your side, the only way to get the current altruistic culture on your side is to be a victim, is to be somebody who is getting slaughtered. And I don't think Jewish people should wait for that again, because again, it's not really sustainable with life, altruism.
No,
James, any last thoughts
altruism
from
is
you?
utterly inconsistent with life on earth. It is at root a cult of death. It is, as Ayn Rand said, a morality of cannibals that demands human sacrifice. And unless you're a victim, you don't have any value at all in their understanding of the universe. So they're happy to be victims and go on to meet their 72 virgins. It's this hatred of life on earth that, as I say, could not be better physically manifested than this sort of thing that you're seeing here. Yeah. Whether it's coming from a Muslim or not, as I say, it reflects the cultural suicide of civilization on one side, and it reflects the pure anti-life mysticism on the other. And you can find it running all the way through, whether it's art, politics, and of course the philosophical roots behind that. So I urge everyone to read the works of Ayn Rand, where you will find the one clear, consistent voice in defense of civilization, defense of life on earth.
And when it comes to Ayn Rand, I would also recommend people becoming a member or a YouTube member, since tomorrow we are back to covering the 1964 Playboy interview Ayn Rand did with the Playboy magazine, which I'm not sure if there is. At least I haven't seen anybody else doing a study group on this specific article, or even, I think there might be articles on it, but I haven't seen a study group. So we are going through the questions. We are 2 sessions in, and we've only covered, I think, less than half questions. So it's going to be for a few more weeks. Simply
Yeah,
become a member, and you'll get all information about it.
what a great discussion we're having. We are only about halfway through, so it may take another session or two, or who knows. But it is one of the great interviews that of all time, of anybody, in my view, where Ayn Rand so brilliantly and concisely explains her position. And we're having such a fun time with the discussion. But to participate in our Sunday seminars, where we discuss the works of Ayn Rand and Leonard Peikoff, you have to be a paid member. But that's where you're going to get the fundamental answers to these fundamental questions about life and death, the role of reason, and the value of civilization. And there was no one like Ayn Rand when it came to defending life on Earth. It's really that simple.
And of course, people should also sign up for the ARCUK mailing list, since we are planning the Irreplaceable Spark Conference too, and all the information. The fastest way to get it, besides the shows, is of course through our mailing list. So link for that is in the chat and in the description. Thank you, James, for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and bye-bye.
Be safe.